My background coming to helicopters was rather unorthodox. It wasn't the typical way that you might think someone learns how to become a helicopter pilot. So in 2019, I graduated high school. I was working at Olive Garden. I was a server, and I really enjoyed that job. I was making good money. I was pretty happy. 6 months after I graduated high school, I kind of came to the realization that I needed to do something bigger. I wanted something more of my life. I could see the path that I stayed a server for a while, into my 20s, into my 30s, and I didn't want that. I wanted to do something real. I definitely didn't want to go to college. It just wasn't for me. High school, I barely got out of. I didn't want to go to the military. That also wasn't for me. So I needed to figure something out. This was just kind of something that was going on in my head. So one night I was down a YouTube rabbit hole, which I find myself doing a lot, and I stumbled across helicopter videos, helicopter pilots doing really cool stuff, and I just had the thought, I'm going to be a helicopter pilot. I had no experience with aviation. I knew no one in aviation. I knew no pilots. I had never really thought about being a helicopter pilot before, and so at this moment, I decided I'm going to be a helicopter pilot. I had no idea how I was going to do this. It's still crazy to me how it came about. Just the short synopsis of how I did it is I found schools that you could just go be a civilian and go learn how to become a helicopter pilot. I started narrowing down my selection, and then I had no money, so I had to figure out how I could get a loan to do this. I found a school called Mauna Loa Helicopters. They would accept my enrollment. They had loan options that I qualified for personally in my situation. So 2 months later, after having this epiphany of I'm going to be a helicopter pilot, I found myself on the big island of Hawaii in a town called Kailua Kona at that airport, and I started going to flight school. Flight school for me immediately was the hardest thing I've ever done. I was not a natural. Some people say, oh, I picked up helicopter flying super easy. I got it instantly. For me, it was not. I struggled for a very long time. Through the whole program, I struggled. At the start, definitely more. Towards the end, I started struggling with different things. Not as much, but just different concepts. And that's normal. It's flight school. It's extremely hard. You're learning how to become a helicopter pilot, learning how to become an aviator. It's supposed to be a challenging process. So after flight school, I graduated. It took me about 2 years. I was just in flight school every single day, 5 days a week. We had the weekends off. And just under 2 years, I completed the program. It took a little bit longer because I started flight school in 2019, 6 months after I graduated high school. So that was like November. Then COVID happened. I got sent home away from school for a couple months, so that delayed it. But about 2 years was the program time. Right after I graduated, I took a job in upstate New York. I knew no one in upstate New York. I had no connection to upstate New York. There were a couple reasons why I took that job. The pay was good. It seemed like a very reputable company, good maintenance on their aircraft. And from the instructors that I talked to there and the leadership I talked to, they flew a lot. So I wanted a lot of flight time, decent pay. It just was everything I wanted. So I packed up all my bags, flew from Hawaii, stopped in my home state of Colorado for a little bit, and then continued on to New York. And I worked as a flight instructor. I love that job. Being a flight instructor is so incredible. Not only are you building flight time and you're making a little bit of money, it's pretty low pay, but you are making money. You just learn so much. You learn about how to teach. You learn really in depth about all the aerodynamics. When you have to teach something to someone else, you really have to know it well yourself. So you learn how all about you learn just a lot more. So I was a flight instructor from 200 hours to about 1,500 hours. I was a flight instructor at one company for a little bit, from like 200 to 500, maybe 700. And then I took another job up to 1,500 hours. So in total, I flight instructed from 200 hours to 1,500 hours. After that, I finally got a big boy job, a New York City job. I went down to New York City and I was a charter pilot. This is where I finally felt like I've made it. I am a professional helicopter pilot. Now, of course, you're a professional pilot when you're a flight instructor, but it feels different when you're like flying charter missions, you're flying paying passengers, you are considered a captain. That's where I felt like I really made it. So I really enjoyed that job. I was flying a Bell 407, which is a beautiful helicopter, flying charters, flying people around the New York City, the Northeast, Boston, Philly, Long Island, the Hamptons. I really enjoyed that job. So talking to you today, I am a helicopter air ambulance pilot. This was my dream job. It is my dream job. I love every second of the job I get to do. I get to help my local community. I get to fly a helicopter. I'm paid well. And I get to make, the biggest thing is I get to make a big difference in the people's lives in the local community. It is a very impactful and fantastic job. The reason I made this video is, about 61% of people, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2023, 61% of high school graduates went to college, which leaves 39% of people high school graduates that did not go to college. I was part of that 39%, and I'm extremely grateful I am. I could have gone to college. It could have been great. It would have been fun. I'm sure I would have had a great time. I would have learned some stuff, and maybe I would have had a job, but the job I have right now is fantastic. I'm 24 years old. I graduated in 2019. It's been 5 years that I've been in the industry. I have a dream job. I make good money. I'm extremely blessed. So I say all that because I did not know this path was an option. I didn't know that you could just go become a helicopter pilot. There's lots to know. I'm doing a 90-day series. The rest of the videos will be linked below. You can follow along. And I'm just going through everything I've learned, everything I know. It is a great job. If you want to do it, please go for it. If you have any questions, specifically if you want to see a video, you can leave those down in the comments below. If you're thinking about this and you just want my opinion, connect with me on Connect. It's an app. You can send me questions. I'll respond to you, and I can kind of help inform you on what I think about your situation. But if you think you want to be a helicopter pilot, if it at least interests you a little bit, do some research, look into it, and if you think it's the path for you, please do it. All right, I will see you on the next one. Take care.